is at it again, pitting superstar against superstar. The 4 p.m. face-off on 96.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Islam, Islam, Islam. Islam, Islam, Islam. All praises be to Allah. We'll have the Moorish American prayer said by the Grand Sheikh of the Noble Drew Ali Foundation. We give praise to Allah, honors to His holy prophet, and honors to all who do honors. We give a special honor to the brother who don't get no honors, but is starting to, Brother Holyday, who is the successor in true life of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Islam. Now we have a saying of the Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through His holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Islam, Moors. Today is Friday, the holy day for Muslims all over the world. On this day, we rise above all finite things to give all praises, perfect praises, to the one God, the true God, Allah. If we're meeting in concession with others, it gives us strength to strive and rise to a height which thou cannot see. Islam. And now I have a reading from the laws of the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the Divine Constitution and bylaws of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Salvation, our God, unity, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and bylaws, the Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and it was on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for Muslims all over the world. Act 3, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No members to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you're a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of this said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwest and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. All members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessity of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you're entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children Wife, you must obey your husband, take care of your children, look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Thus, we've had a reading of the first 7 of the Moorish Science Temple of America laws, which is the Constitution. The laws we're about to read now from the Quran questions for Moorish Americans, most Moors call it the 101, the 101 questions that open up the Quran to teach us our history. But tonight, right now, we're going to read from the back, starting at page 7 through 8, the additional laws that was brought by the Prophet, because the Moors, especially those who were leading temple, was going about doing what they wanted to do. So the Prophet had to bring them back to the circle of the square that they may be right. Islam. Questionnaire and additional laws, the Moorish Americans by the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Additional Act 1, grand sheiks and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet before acting upon by any members. Let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finance, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under heavy restriction, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Additional Act 2. All members are to attend their ADAT meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second, he will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If a member is working, his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he's able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Additional Act 3. It is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation, and if he does not, he's an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. As I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Additional Act 4. All members, while making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak bad against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Additional Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire. And let every member exercise his 5 senses who's able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Additional Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they're not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to the slaves by the slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the governments in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabit the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Additional Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you're entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband, take care of your duties, look after your household, take care of your duties, take care of your children, and look after your duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds filled with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Thus we've had a reading of the 7 and 7 of the Moorish Science Temple of America, as well as the Noble Drew Ali Foundation, because we're propagating the prestigious, only what the prophets say, not what COOLEY-EL say, not what the chairman Green Bay say or any member. It's what the prophets say. It's what we try to demonstrate and give to the brothers and sisters, the conscious as well as the unconscious, because sometimes the conscious forget that they don't know it all. So with that, we'll continue our reading. We'll have a reading of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, divinely prepared by the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Islam is. We'll have a reading from page 32, chapter 20. Very good chapter. Page 32, chapter 20. Holy instructions and warning for all young men. Beware, young men, beware of all the norms of wantonness. And let not the harlot tempt thee to excess in her delights. The madness of desire shall defeat his own pursuits. From the blindness of his rays thou shalt rush upon destruction. Therefore give not up thy heart to her sweet enticements, neither suffer thy soul to be enslaved by her chanting delusions. The fountain of health which must supply the stream of pleasure shall quickly be dried up, and every spring of joy shall be exhausted. In the prime of thy life old age shall overtake thee. The sun shall decline in the morning of thy days. But when virtue and modesty enlighten her charms, the lust of a beautiful woman is brighter than the stars of heaven, and the influence of her power is in vain to resist. The whiteness of her bosom transcendeth the lily. Her smile is more delicious than a garden of roses. The innocence of her eyes is like that of the turtle. Simplicity, truth dwell in her heart. The kisses of her mouth are sweeter than honey. The perfumes of Arabia breathe from her lips. Shut not thy bosom to the tenderness of love. The purity of his flame shall ennoble thy heart and soften it to receive the first impression. Islam, we're talking about the young men. The prophet is telling all young men, old men, calm men in general, that you have to be careful about how you endeavor yourself with women, period, especially the sisters. Now, he says, beware, young man. What he's telling us is to stop, take note, think. Of all the allurements of wantonness that the mind creates, and let not the harlot. Now, in the ancient days, in this flow of writing, he's using harlot. And harlot is a woman that's unclean, wayward, and most of the time in these modern days, they call them prostitutes, whores, unfit women, nephos, all of these names. But the prophet is telling you about their character. See, the harlot has a character, and the prophet is telling you about the character of the harlot. He says, all the allurements of wantonness, he's telling you her lovely face, her build, all of the things that drive you to wantonness, the desire, the thought of endeavoring into her charms. He said, let it not tempt thee to excess in her delight. Overdo it, simply. Do not overdo it. That's why he tell you beware. Stop, think. Do not allow yourself to become inflamed where you can't stop and you can't be patient. In verse 2, he said, the madness of desire shall defeat his own pursuits. From the blindness of its rage, thou shalt rush upon destruction. He tell you the madness of your desires, your wanting is so bad, it defeats his own pursuits. His pursuits is to find love and happiness. You see. But he said it defeats his own pursuit. From the blindness of his rage, thou shalt rush upon destruction. What he's saying, for you to rush into dealing with a harlot or woman that's not proper, and you overdo it, you'll cause yourself to become destroyed. And yes, you can be destroyed from within. That's why he tell you about the sunshine shall decline in the morning of thy days. He talking about we won't be able to produce. We don't have the strength in the sperm enough to produce, because he created woman for man's companionship and to procreate, not to enjoy from the madness of this excessive desire. And you put love on it. Love and desire are two different entities, you see. Then he goes on to say, therefore give not up thy heart to her sweet enticement, neither suffer thy soul to be enslaved by her chanting delusions. You see, sometimes man falls in love with that which he desires, that which he wants, but it may not be for him. It may not be what he needs. Some brothers try to demonstrate this lesson as cars and clothes. That's not what the prophet is saying. The prophet is talking about a good woman and a bad woman, and the young men coming up to understand the difference of the two. You see, everything has two. And in the character of this type, there's this woman and there's that woman. Because the first part is talking about how we can run it upon destruction by dealing in excessive with the harlot, the prostitute, the unclean woman, the woman whose feet does not abide in her father's house. You know, it's just that simple. The truth is all. It has no cause, but yet it's the cause of everything. He says, therefore give not up thy heart to her sweet enticement, neither suffer thy soul to be enslaved by her chanting delusion. You see, why would you give your heart to someone who can't be satisfied by one? Because if it could, she would be with you. But her desires, her illusions with your desires will cause you to do things that you shouldn't do, especially if you're a married man or you have a partner. It is, it is untrustful, unclean to mess with someone else. He said, the fountain of health which supplied the stream of pleasure shall quickly be dried up, and every spring of joy shall be exhausted. He's talking about your spermatorial system when you can't produce. You see, you dried up. Your numbers are low. You don't have the strength to produce. That's why you see a lot of brothers that have been in the penitentiary come home, can't make children, because they have dried up from the food or whatever it may be. They just don't have the numbers because the pleasures of their body has dried up. You see what he said? The fountain of health. which must supply the stream of pleasure, shall quickly be dried up, and every spring of joy shall be exhausted. So when you're healthy and you're being conscious and dealing with women, regardless, especially the harlot, because she has ways of tempting you. But it means to deal with yourself and become strong enough to withstand the allurements of wantonness. You know, you should be able to see a sister walk by without making side comments or without your mind going to how I wish I could endeavor. You see, because every woman ain't for you. Every woman ain't for you, no matter how good she look. That don't make that she's saying, come to me. But she, in your thoughts, in your mind of weakness, you see the body, she allures you, and you go try to make a move. Allah blessed her with her cuteness and her curves. That don't make her want to be done all the time. So when you can produce the fountain of health, which supplies a stream of pleasure, shall quickly be dried up for your constant wantonness and endeavoring into her delights. Will quickly dry up, and every spring of joy shall be exhausted. You hear him say, I can't get it out. That's because you've become impotent. Because you overworked yourself. The spring, your health, your fountain of health has fallen. So your spring has dried up. So you have become impotent. You're not able to produce. You're not able to arouse yourself. In the prime of thy life, old age shall overtake thee. The sun shall decline in the morning of thy day. You hear what he's saying? Just because of you constantly endeavoring, you have become old in the prime of your life. You have no sense of pleasure to enjoy, to push through, because you have made it to the point where you have overdone it, indulging in all the women that you think you want. And then in the prime of your life, around 25 to 40, you're not able to have children because you ran the street and chased all the women. Now your fountain of health is gone and the spring of life has dried up. So you have no way to enjoy. But then he goes on to tell us, brothers and sisters, praise Allah, but when the virtue and modesty enlighten her charms, he's talking about the character of a woman whose virtue and modesty enlighten her charms. She carries herself with respect. She conducts herself as a woman. She speaks softly. She does all the things that her mother or she have learned to do. The luster of a beautiful woman is brighter than the stars of heaven, and the influence of her power was in vain to resist. What he's telling you, a woman that has modesty and she's beautiful, and her luster, her brightness, is hard for you to resist because you know your mind tells you this is the woman. So it would be hard for you to resist her power. It is in vain to resist. The whiteness of her bosom transcended the lily. That means her heart is pure. The smile is more delicious than the garden of roses. It's a wonderful smile. It's a sweet smile. It's beautiful. It's not loud and boisterous, you know. The innocence of her eyes is like that of the turtle, meaning her eyes are soft and they move slow. They don't roam all over the men's faces and looking for anything. They're soft in their life. You can see her soul, her caring when she speaks with you, when she stands before you. The whiteness of her bosom is like the lily. The smile is more delicious than the garden of roses. The innocence of her eyes is like the turtle. And why did he use the turtle? Because the turtle moves slow. And her eyes are beautiful. They roll slow. They look at you with like stars. They glitter. You see, that's what he's telling you. They glitter. The innocence and the simplicity of truth dwell in her heart. When you look into her eyes, you can see that she's a simple woman. She's a good woman. She's a truthful woman. And when you sit down and you conversate with her, you'll find out that she's not a woman whose foot does not abide in her father's house. She's a woman who does what Allah created her to do, to be man's reasonable companion. The innocence, the kisses of her mouth are sweeter than honey. The perfume of Arabia breathes from her lips. That means that when you kisses her and you tongue, you know, she tastes like honey. Oh, her lips are sweet. You know, the Arabia, the senses of the perfumes of Arabia has no weight as her lips does. He said, shed not that bosom to the tenderness of love. See, love is a powerful entity, my brothers and sisters. Love is a powerful entity. That is why the Holy Prophet tells you love is the foundation. Love is the foundation. When you learn to love, you learn to be happy, to be content. You see, that's what love is. Love is contentment. Love is happiness. And when you learn to love, you'll understand why you're happy and content. Set not that bosom to the tenderness of love. The purity of his flame shall ennoble thy heart and soften it to receive the fairest impression. See, when you see a woman as the prophet has described, it's going to be hard for you to resist her. And once y'all become one, you're going to always understand that she is love. She is love. You're going to always understand that she is love. And from that love, you will see that a unit begins. And from that unit comes what we call today family. They used to call the sons and daughters of men. And that family relies on your strength of thinking. See, people use the word love loosely. You know, I love my dog. I love my car. But do you really know how to love? I say this. It took our COOLEY-EL a long time to understand that I didn't know how to love. I wasn't there. I was caught up in the enticement of her delights. I didn't know how to love. And then I met the woman that the prophet was talking about. And I still wasn't understanding what was before me because I didn't love it. I was still putting myself in positions which caused me harm and take me away from those who love me and care about me. That's why when I was introduced to the Holy Prophet Holyday by the brother Keith Bagby Bay, I saw something. I heard something. And I say, this is where I'm supposed to be when I was out of congregation. And once I began to understand the instruction, I began to understand these instructions are not just to talk, they're to apply. And first you have to apply them to yourself before you can instruct or teach anyone else these instructions. You got to apply them on yourself. And every step or degree that you overcome from experience. See, the Bible says that wisdom is the inference of experience. With wisdom comes experience. If you know that to rob a bank, you go into jail and leave your family, but you do it anyway, then that means you don't love yourself nor your family or the people that care about you. And I understand that we all been there. Hey, young men, our wildness, our wanting. We wanted the world, but we didn't know how to actually get the world, so we went out to take the world. And when we began to take the world, we thought that our fancy garb, our fat pockets, our big car, we were supposed to be admired and respected and loved. But then, when it falls, we find out that we're alone. All those people out there at the clubs and all of that. But the ones who love you are the ones who come and see you. What's in these stuff? So we have to understand that our duty as men, young, middle-aged, or old, is to guard ourselves against the actions of Lucifer, because Lucifer is a mighty, 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 mighty angel, a devil angel. He can change at will. But you have to fortify your words, acts, and deeds, that your character can't be overcome. See, when you look at this and you apply these instructions, then you'll find a system that you can take home and make her your wife. See, because you have to be able to understand that life is to be lived in happiness. And your companion should make you happy. We shouldn't have to beat on our women, cuss and fuss with our women. No. If we are the men, the more men we say we are, then our household should be in order. But the Bible says, he says, with these lessons, you can set your house in order. Page 3. Know thyself and thy father, God Allah. The genealogy of Jesus with the 18 years of the events, life, works, and teachings in India, Europe, and Africa. These events occurred before he was 30 years of age. These secret lessons are for all of those who love Jesus and desire to know about his life, works, and teachings. Dear readers, do not falsely use these lessons. They are for good, peace, and happiness for all those that love Jesus. Dear mothers, teach these lessons to your little ones, that they may learn to love instead of hate. Dear fathers, by these lessons, you can set your house in order and your children will learn to love instead of hate. The lessons of this pamphlet are not for sale, but for the sake of humanity. As I am a prophet, and the servant is worthy of his hire, you can receive this pamphlet at expense. The reason these lessons have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets and kept them back from the outside world. And when the time appointed by Allah, they loosened the keys and freed the secrets. And for the first time in ages have these secrets been delivered in the hands of the Muslims of America. All authority and rights of publishing of this pamphlet of 1927 by the prophet. So, we know that the prophet brought these lessons to us in a language that we can understand. Not in Arabic, not in Greek, but in the language we had to learn. And why I say we had to learn, because we had been pushed to the point where we had forgotten our ancient languages and therefore our culture and who our ancient forefathers were. The prophet come to take us back. He come to take us back to the land. Some people say he come to take us to the east. He come to take us back to the northwest and southwestern shores of Africa, where it all began. Where it all began. And the word Ethiopian, he says you're not, because Ethiopian means something divided. Now, and the questioner says Ethiopia. Ethiopia means something divided. What was divided? Africa. The land that's called Egypt was divided by the father and the son, Ham and Cush. And once again, is where our desire or wanting to be the Lord and the master of all the planes of things made manifest, we lost respect for our fathers, so we overcome and rebel against him and move on. Upper Egypt, Lower Egypt, northwestern and southwestern shores, the ancient Moabites, who today are called the Moors from the ancient Moroccan Empire. Same people, same people. But what we must understand is, here in America, if you look at a map, we at home. We were here before they ever thought about getting here. The prophet said they're going to have to take a ship and go 3,000 miles to go back where they come from. We know that we don't teach hate, but we teach the truth. When are we going to wake up and realize that unity through our God brings salvation? That's what we're striving for, self-improvement. But as the prophet told us, as he was traveling throughout the South, he understood what happened. That pale skin, that European, that Caucasian had beaten us, dumbed us down so much that our spirit had lost, just like in the time they claimed we were in Egypt in slavery, and they told Jesus they don't know nothing but toil. They don't understand happiness. He said, brother man, your thoughts are wrong. And I'm telling you here today, by the will of Allah, through the will of the prophet, that your thoughts are wrong. You're not Negro, colored folks, or black people. And you sure ain't Ethiopians, but you're making it like you're Ethiopian because no matter what platform you're on, we're the one. You say you love your nation, then you can't love your nation when you're cutting your nation in half. You're pointing the finger of derision at your brothers and your sisters. We have to come from all platforms to make it a fact. But first, we have to stop teaching this black stuff, this Negro, this color, and we have to overcome this Ethiopianism, this division. We all can be here, moving toward the holy life, the holy land. See, because the prophet said that you're going to have to take these lessons back to your brothers across the sea and teach them because they have forgotten. They have forgotten. They have lightened up, so they have forgotten. The people who are ruling today aren't the true people who ruled yesterday. Israelites wasn't of Caucasians. Just think, they can't take the 90 degrees. What you think they're gonna do in a land that get 120 degrees Fahrenheit? The prophet said, I'm going to create man, and I'm going to create man from the darkest part of the earth. We know the darkest part of the earth is the clay, and the clay is red, brown, and some purple. That's where we get the thing when you hear him call brother blue black. We have to know who we are. Every man upon the land and nations know who they are. But the so-called Asiatics, the Negroes, the coloreds, and the blacks. But today, praise Allah, a prophet came to us that teaches our nationality and our divine creed, Islam. But you have to take note. What is the mission? mission is to uplift fallen humanity, to teach them how to love, to learn to love instead of hate, and to teach those who have lost their heritage, who they are, and their language and their culture, that they may get it back. We fly a flag, a red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center. This is the flag of Morocco, and we got the legal right to fly it because they know through the friendship treaty and all, they know that they have dumbed you down so good that you ain't gonna ask, is it true? Wake up, my brothers and sisters. Raise your thoughts to infinite wisdom. See your nippiness displayed before you. Ask yourself, why is everybody can point to their forefathers in their name except me? Then you'll begin to wonder, Black Lives Matter. Black lives? Moors, Asiatics' lives always matter, but the European don't care about you. You saying Black Lives Matter, but yet they're killing them every day. Every day. And we got brothers who died and fought for them to be peace officers, hiding under the blue instead of protecting their own. Yeah, it happened. But praise Allah, they made that sister the chief, and she said, we got to do this. No, you got to go. This is a new era of time now, Moors. Sympathize the seekers after the truth. Listen to me. Know who your ancient forefathers were. Know who you are. Pick up a book. Yeah, you have to read and study the book, because I'm not saying everything in the book is fact, but if you read the proper literature, you'll find out, and from what they say, you research to find out for a fact. You're from the land of Moab. And the word Moab means the men's of our race, the Moroccans. The Moroccans you see today that's brighten up, that's what they let you see. They don't let you see that darkness back there because they don't want you to see that, hey, let me tell you a story. I was in Leavenworth Penitentiary, and the Moors had this paper from Africa. And Lord behold, they said, COOLEY-EL, COOLEY-EL. I said, your twin brother? I said, I don't have a twin. They said, yes, you do. And Lord behold, I look at the paper, this brother from Ethiopia looked just like me. I mean, to the T. And that only certified the fact that I know that I come from the ancient Moabites, who are today the Moors, who were yesterday the ancient Moroccans from the land of Turkey. See, we have to understand these things so we can see how they socially and politically and economically keep us at the bottom of the pyramids that we built. The eye that's over is not their eye. It's the eye of Allah, wondering when his children going to take back what is rightfully theirs. That's why in the Bible it says the last will be first and the first will be last. We keep disobeying the laws of Allah. when they took us out of Egypt, we were going to send us to the land of Canaan. He told us not to mingle with the people. We did it anyway. And from that time on, we've been falling. And we continue to fall because we do not listen to the great God by whatever name you call him. The prophet says in chapter 48, we do not desire amalgamate or marry into the pale-skinned nations of Europe. And why does he say that? Because our forefather was told not to amalgamate or marry the Canaanites. We did it anyway. We disobeyed. And we found ourselves again being persecuted. Everywhere we go, we disobey the laws of Allah and his messengers, and we find ourselves being persecuted. And then we start persecuting one another because we're so frustrated and depressed about our conditions when we can change our conditions only if we have the will to do so. But we must first learn to love our brothers instead of hating our brothers and sisters, and you'll see a change, and then you can say, we are a nation. We are a nation of people who were taken. We talk about the 14th and the 15th Amendment. Come on, brothers and sisters. Those are legal laws. The 14th and the 15th Amendment ain't done nothing for you. The 14th and the 15th Amendment gave those seditionists that created the Civil War their constitutional rights and properties and things back. It didn't give you anything. Think about it. What did the 14th and the 15th Amendment do for you? I know what it did for Robert E. Lee and all of those rebels who took us and didn't want to free us. That Civil War was about economics, and we were the product. We are the ones that make the gross GNP. We have to understand that they smile in your face because they know they got you hooked again. We out here teaching this black thing. Black is a color. Man don't have no color. Man have a hue, a shade. And our shade is olive. What is the shade of his skin? Olive. The colors are the rainbow. Through us, every other color came. But what we do, the first thing we do, we get a few dollars. We want to go move next door to Mr. Caucus. Then we want to marry Mr. Caucus' daughter. Now what we have done is created and disobeyed Allah again. We have the most beautiful women in the world. That's why that European during slavery had the hots for them. You see, and the European woman do the same. Then we get to the point where, and I always think about when Sammy Davis Jr. praised and honored that brother, said he was a Jew. I laughed at him until I began to do my research. Praise be to Allah, he is a Jew. Those who were with him, Dean Martin and all of them, saying they wasn't Jews, they were converters of the religion of Judaism. I'm not speaking radical, nor am I putting anyone down. I'm just telling the truth that's in the book. All you got to do is go to an up-to-date library and check it out. You'll find out that I ain't telling no myths. I'm telling the truth. I ain't using no assertion or anything. I'm just telling the truth. We must wake up, brothers and sisters. No matter what front you on, we're after the same thing. Freedom. National acceptance. We want our names back. Our ills, our babes. We want them back. We want to be recognized by the nations of the world. They don't respect this false UN that was created, the United Nations. It was created by those converters, those Jews, the banks, all of these things they do to make sure that you don't rise. You got to open up, you got to get into the books, because what we're doing, we're producing generations of ignorant slaves. No matter what type of education you get, you ain't getting no education to make you free. You getting the education to make you a better slave so that you can hoop jump for them. You work hard, they get richer. Everything that you supposed to know and have, they took it and proclaimed it. The square, the crescent, the star. That ain't theirs, that belonged to you. They went down in there and started digging in the graves as they went. See, they are cave dwellers. Y'all be looking at Fred Flintstone. You think that was a cartoon? That was the time when we had put them and our brothers that were sick, that had that leprosy. We had to rope them off at the end of the Caucasus Mountains where Europe begins. And they slayed the beasts and took their dwellings in the mountain. I ain't speaking radical. I'm just telling the Lord truth I know from my research. See, and I'm going to keep on telling you until you become who you're supposed to be, you're never going to raise up or love yourself. You're going to always be depressed, sad, and angry. That's why I tell brothers, don't beat on your woman because you're afraid because you can't get what you want from the European. Go get it. Stand up. Be the man. Find out who you are and try to do it. Yeah, they're going to try to destroy you just like they destroyed Black Wall Street. Them people work within and built a town where they wasn't subjective or needing the European to make it. Because most of the things that are created, we created them. They steal the diamonds from our forefathers in our land. Some Africana. What is an Africana? No, I'm not speaking radical. I'm just telling the truth. But I say this, my beloved brothers and sisters. Islamism is a way of life. It is the way of life. It is the creed of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. That is your true religion. That is your true creed. Islam is a philosophy and doctrine of a people of ancient times. They call it the Mohammedan religion. But Islam comes from Allah. The Prophet was told to name it Islam. And the Prophet today came, he said, I ain't bringing nothing new, but I'm adding something new to it. ISM-ism. Because we're talking it, but we're not practicing it and living it. Beware, young man, of all enormous awokeness. This coronavirus, sisters and brothers, is aimed at you. And if you don't be careful, it's going to get you. So you can't let that European tell you how to live your life in these trying times. It says pandemic. We have to protect ourselves because once again, who is it aimed at? Allah's God, I do declare. For he has done much for me through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I know Allah is the prophet, and I know Marcus Garvey was the forerunner. Because what Marcus Garvey did, that's what the Wall Street was about. Settlement. They had their own city, they had their own buses, their own cabs, their own stores. They traded and battered amongst one another until they became stable and strong. What the European do? He wanted a piece of that dollar. So what he did, he killed and blowed it up. And it hasn't been the same. See, they wanted to jail H. Rap Brown when he said, burn, baby, burn. But when you study history, you go back, they've been burning a long time. They was burning in the dunce hats that they call the Ku Klux Klan. Ku Klux and the Klan. The Three Stooges. But things are serious today. Brothers and sisters are getting rich. They're billionaires. But guess what? When the European is ready, he can put them back because they put their money in their banks. They done made themselves so solidified in the economics and social products that the gross national GNP can be stopped by a certain group of people who are trying to bring in. You can laugh at me, you can do all that, but the New World Order is on its way. And if you ain't got your card in your back pocket, you're going to be in trouble. And if we haven't unified as a nation by being able to defend and protect our rights as citizens here in America, all of us going to be in trouble. See, I got mine on my Social Security card. I don't play with it. I carry my ID in my pocket. The police stopped me one day and said, you got your ID? I said, I keep my ID. Then when the European left, the brother said, no, do you got your real ID? I whipped it out on him. He said, Islam, my brother. So I know the prophet is true. He said, I got my people everywhere. I even got them in the police department. They're just waiting for you to right yourself, to be the message that you bring. Stop begging. Welfare, Medicaid, we become subservience for their little gift. Like this man takes $2 trillion and give you 1,200. You want to vote for him, talking about he's a good man. Every gift given to you ain't got to be a good gift. Sometimes some gifts you shouldn't even accept because they might be your downfall. Just like Shaka Zulu told his men, you can go to England and have conversation with the European, but I'm never stepping on the European. And now, long as I live, they should never come in the dark of the bush. And Shaka Zulu meant it because he knew who the devil was. He knew the devil. And he didn't let his advisors push him. But soon as Shaka died, the European tricked the brothers and came in and began to destroy them, killing them, raping them, snatching them. See, we talking about the European slave trade. You ain't start talking about the Arab was the first slave trade, the Arab slave trade. Them Europeans and them Arabs. Then they gonna tell us about the Middle East. There's no such thing as the Middle East. That is Africa. Brothers and sisters, wake up. You're a giant that has been slept too long. Whatever the drug is that they're giving you, wake up. If you're in the church, praise Allah, read the first 5 books of Moses because the truth is there. The King James, now listen, the King James, 16, come on now, a King James Bible. Most people don't even know how to read the Bible. Praise Allah and honors to his prophet that I was taught to learn how to read the Bible and research and find out that most of those names have been changed to hide the secret. The secret that we, the ancient Moabites, the ancient Hebrew Israelites, are the true manifestors of the first civilization. All you gotta do is research it. They're gonna try to keep some stuff out your hands, but you got to get it. And beware, young man, of all the Romans and wonders, because that European woman is a mess. You know, you got to keep your nation tight, because when you amalgamate and marry into the pale-skinned nation, you're creating something else. And the thing about that is children become discontented. What side do I belong on? And 90% of the time, they say if you got 1% of black blood in you, as they call it, I'm going to say if you got 1% of Moorish blood in you, then you're Moorish. And they say you're black. And it's a mighty mission. But I'm willing to stay on this mission, because time never was when man was not. If life were man at any time began, a time would come when it would end. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. No finite mind can comprehend things infinite. All finite things are subject unto change. All finite things are subject unto change. All finite things will cease to be, because there was a time when they were not. But the bodies and the souls of men are not finite things. they would change. The bodies and souls of men are finished things, and they would change. From the finished point of view, the time will come when they will be no more. But man himself is not the body nor the soul. He's a spirit and a part of Allah. Creative faith gave to man a spirit, a soul, that he may function on the plane of soul. Gave him a body that he may function on the plane of things made manifest. He gave him a body of flesh that he might function on the plane of things made manifest. Why did creative faith give spirit, man, and soul that he might function on the plane of soul? Why did creative faith give the soul a body of flesh that he may function on the plane of things made manifest? Here now, ye cherubims, you seraphims, ye angels and ye men. Here now, O protoplasm and earth and plant and beast. Here now, ye creeping things of earth, ye fish that swim, ye birds that fly. Here now, ye winds that blow, ye thunders and ye lightnings of the sky. Here now, ye spirits of fire, water, earth, and air. Hear now everything that is, or was, or evermore would be. For wisdom speaks from out of the highest plane of spirit life. Man is a thought of Allah, and all thoughts of Allah are empty. They are not measured up by time. For things that are concerned with time beginning, and the thoughts of Allah are the everlasting and the past until the never-ending days to come. And so is man. That being said, is the truth. And in the truth, we find that we can do anything in love and truth. It'll bring about peace and happiness. I want to go to the book and I want to read to you. When thou considerest thy wants, thou beholdest thy imperfections. Acknowledge his goodness, O son of humanity, who honored thee with humanity, who endowed thee with speech, and placed thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal helps and mutual obligations, protection from injury, thou enjoyments of the comforts and the pleasures of life. All of these thou owest to the assistance of others, and could not have enjoyed but in the hands of society. It is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as it is thy interest to be that man should be a friend to thee. And with that, I like to say, I hope time never was, but here we on time. And it said the meeting should be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7. And love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. My brothers and sisters, my time has come to an end for this holy day, this Friday. I hope I have said something to interest you, to stir your spirit, to make your will move. Because my mission is to love you and to give you what the brothers give me through my studies. And with that, I like to say goodwill to you all and peace on earth to you all. Because Allah sends prophets to teach the everlasting gospel, the saving power, which comes from Allah through our ancient fathers by his prophets. And their mission is to get you to understand that you can be the truth. But you first got to know who you are. And until Sunday school, I like to say peace and love. And I give honors to all the spirits that's here and the spirits that's not here. Because they are living things and they should live for eternity. And those of us who are still clothed in this garb of flesh, I say unto you, be who you're supposed to be and stop being what you're not. Get in an up-to-date library and read about the Moroccan Treaty. Read of what it says. They know about the Moors. But what they did, that's another lesson because time never was. But anyway, I say peace and love. May Allah bless you. I have a reading of the proclamation before I close out. Prophet warns all Muslim governors ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while they work in their homes or on the street. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your card at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequences. We are for love, truth, peace, and freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. And any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the prophet or toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their cards, button, cease wearing their turban affairs, and return to the place where I found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Durali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sins. By order of the prophet Noble Durali, thus we've had a reading from the proclamation, which end the meeting, and I trust we meet again on Sunday, which will be the 4th. And with that, I say Islam, and we'll say the Moorish American prayer. And those who wish to pray with us, we use 5 on the left and 2 on the right, and repeat the Moorish American prayer after me, Grand Sheikh and Divine Minister R. COOLEY-EL. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Durali. Amen, Islam. Thus, the meeting has ended, and I leave you in peace. Islam.